I think the first
We never
thing
said those
to mention
anyways.
is when you do Microscope, you have an overall one-sentence description of the story. And the thing we needed to answer, just because it was the point of this whole thing, is how did the elves become cursed? Because they're cursed, everything goes wrong for them, they have fled a disaster, that's all pre-established, right? So the question is, how did the elves become cursed? Was the overall theme of history. So it began with the elves appear, or something?
Yeah,
was
the elves come into existence.
in the primal forest or something.
And
it turns out they were created by the light of the pre-stars shining on pools, reflecting, and that the reflection made the elves, according to someone.
Yep. These are the pre-stars. They're not the actual stars. They're proto-stars.
Yes, they're these huge bodies of celestial stuff that are what will eventually become the stars, but each constellation is in one single body held together, giving out this extremely
What did they
pure
reflect
and radiant
off
light.
of?
Ponds.
Pools.
There are these ponds in the deep forest. Water is reflected.
So instead of...
I know, but we don't have stars yet, but we've got a forest.
Oh, we've got proto-stars.
Yeah. So like that's what there
And
was.
there's a sun. There's a sun, of course.
Yeah.
Which is a star.
No, it's not.
Not in this-
What are you talking about? They're
Right.
completely different.
Basically,
Gonna
just
shut up and
imagine
listen.
there's a world where instead of constellations, there's these big things that are like small suns. The sky is full of these small suns that are really bright and
Not many of them.
but
just a
some of
couple.
them.
There's, yeah,
Just a couple.
yeah. Maybe a few hundred.
That's where the elves came from.
No. The elves came from pools
Right.
of water
Of that light
that
reflecting.
the
on-
light reflected off of.
Yeah.
Okay.
Whatever.
Yes.
I don't know. That happened.
That happened.
Yes.
We're going back to like really far now.
Yeah.
So, and then the first period was the protostars explode into the constellations.
Yeah.
And during that period, we kind of said one of them exploded or something, and this star fell to Earth.
I thought he just did one explode. I thought.
It wasn't. We didn't actually say that. We were just talking about that afterwards.
Yeah.
That's what was assumed
Okay,
to have
so
happened.
one exploded and one male star fell to Earth.
Was he naughty?
And
He seemed really nice.
yeah, he seemed like a nice guy.
He helped the primitive rock build up their magic and wisdom, and help them build this statue. And what was his name? It's like some weird name, like Yaquis.
It started
Quizquion.
Quizquion.
Yeah.
Quizquion is his name.
He helped them build this statue that helped them contain their magic, so that it didn't like go berserk, so they could like control their magic, and so then they became like this elder race of magical people.
Yes.
And then
The Vrock.
The
who
Vrock.
exclusively communicate by saying Vrock!
Yes.
no, they have a well,
It's not exclusively rock. It's just
the Vrock.
it's a phoneme that is common in their language.
The Vrock are also very different than they are on our continent. They're wise, they're cultured, they're civilized. They don't just go around.
They do say vrock.
It's probably why they're called that. It's like a slur or something. But they are like, yeah, they're not like the Vrock we know at all. And then eventually Quizquion is going to return
For today.
to the sky, and there's like this big celebration, and he returns to the sky, and as soon as he returns to the sky, all the pre-stars explode into constellations.
Because apparently he had some sort of secret plan of evil revenge that he wanted against celestial bodies. It was very unclear exactly.
But
what
one
was
key
going
thing that he did was he built this statue, the statue of Quizquion, and its eye was this meteorite, the eye of Quizquion, that was like super powerful.
Yeah. Could you gouge out your own eye and stick it in? Like Vecna?
on. You can try.
I don't know. No one ever did that.
Yeah.
I imagined
who would
it
think
being.
to do that?
I imagine it being like this big,
Adventurous.
but
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't actually. That's just
You have to really ram it in there.
unless something is like established in officially established, it's free for someone to mess with it. So
Yeah.
no one. In my mind, it's this big, but that's never been officially established. So.
Yep. We don't even know what the statue was of. I mean, it was called the statue of Quizquion, but I don't think it was literally a statue of Quizquion. I think it
Yeah,
was-
we know a bit about it based on what happens to it, but
There's also some confusing stuff that happened where there was this other star that came running up to him right when he was going to do his thing, and then this mysterious assassin, this shadowy assassin, killed that other star that was running up to him, but it was very unclear what was going on there. Perhaps we'll find out
Have
later.
you played Microscope before? Because you can play a scene. So we just did a scene about when he returned.
Yeah.
And that was just someone's character.
Yeah.
It was supposed. The question of the scene was why did he return to the sky, or why did he plan to blow up? Why did he plan to blow up them or something?
Yeah.
And then like I played this female star that apparently had also fallen, and I was going there to like deliver a suggestion because like the scene of the answer to the question, but then she got assassinated. As she got there, so
yeah.
And then it actually ended up being kind of weird because then Robin was playing Quizquiot and she's like, she didn't actually have a plan for the answer. I actually asked the question, and so no one gave a suggestion of the answer. I had a suggestion of the answer, but I got killed, and so she was like, I guess I'm really evil and I want revenge.
And thus did the male stars become evil.
All male stars are evil.
Apparently, this is where that came from.
I'll be right back.
Because...
Well, there's more to it than that.
Yeah.
Because bananas.
Because bananas. That was a little bit unclear. We may clarify that. We're going to do another session to flesh out some. Right.
I mean, in seriousness, that's not the reason the male stars are evil, but that is the reason that he caused the constellations to explode. But there's no more detail than that. It's still very mysterious.
Yeah.
So I have an idea in my mind, but it hasn't been canonized yet, so who knows?
Oh, you're going to have another building session?
Yeah, we're going to have another session.
And it may not be canonized in that session because it may not be important, but I have a thought anyway.
Yeah. So the elves...
You shouldn't get too attached to your thoughts when you're playing Microscope.
The elves were raised up by the Vrock. They were taught magic. But then the elves came up with this new approach to magic that basically took the limiters off. Instead of trying to control the magic, you just put in as much energy as you needed and let the magic sputter out once it runs out of energy. Much more efficient because you don't have to spend energy holding yourself back, essentially.
The Vrock are all about control.
Yeah.
I think it's important to control their magic and not just be on...
But the Vrock have an interesting cultural tradition. What was the name of
The Warder?
The Warder, yes, the Warder. Basically, in every endeavor, the Vrock have another Vrock that they assign as the Warder, who is basically the loyal opposition. He tries to explain why what you're doing is a bad idea and why you shouldn't do it.
Brock's advocate?
Brock's advocate, yes. And so it was great. We did the scene where an elven student of magic, played by me, had just discovered, hey, why don't we just take the limiters off and go nuts?
Roughly, yeah. Vulture people.
And so the Vrock Archmage or whoever that was doing all the Vrock teacher that was teaching these elves magic, this elf was like, hey, why don't we just go nuts and throw all our energy into doing the thing we want, and we get a lot more done. And the Vrock teacher was like, that's a bad idea. But then the Warder was like, you should hear him out.
The loyal opposition. Except he said something more like, rock, rocky, rock, rock, rock.
It's not.
They understand each other's language. We actually, when we played them very sophisticated.
Yes.
Like when the elves first met the leader of the Vrock, the Gerald, that's their title for their king. He was like, these poor savages, I'm nothing benevolent to them, and like, he took pity on them, and he was whatever. They are nothing like the Vrock. Sorry, I will put the lights on.
Yeah, so elves invented the just throw everything at the wall and see what works style of magic.
Do you trust me? I got this.
Yep. The hold my beer school of magic.
Hold my beer. What's a traditional elven drink? Now we need a hold my something.
Hold my aged open wine.
Yeah.
Hold my
I feel
yuppie
like
wine.
they drink Cosmos for some reason.
And then let's see. Something started going wrong for the elves. Oh yeah, the lotus stuff.
That was later.
It was later?
I think probably the next thing was the early days of the rule of Elven Word, the Magnificent.
Elven word the Magnificent.
Yes, that's the name of their great and powerful leader who is renowned through the ages. And
The
subsequent
modern
leaders
Elven word must be named after him.
named themselves after him, yeah.
We don't have much for that, but then there was a period where the elves surpassed the Brock in power, but not wisdom.
And they started forming this great empire.
I think it was during the early days of Elvenwood they formed an order of eternity or something, where they try to make sure they write down all magical knowledge in like indestructible ways so they can keep it forever.
Those are the bones of the earth people, essentially.
So wait,
The bones of the earth.
Quizquion went back and like exploded the things, and no one heard from him for a while.
No one's heard from him since. However, but now there's stars instead of pre-stars, which probably no one even remembers.
Then the Vrock shot the Elves, and then the Elves surpassed the Vrock in the time of Elvenward.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's right. The elves, the eye of Quizquion had been lost, and the elves gave it to the Vrock to teach them magic.
It was a trade. Yeah.
Oh, so the elves found it and gave it to the Brock.
Yeah. The elves found it, gave it to the Brock. The Brock, in gratitude, taught them how to use magic.
Which turned out to be a mistake.
Well, you know, in the long run, everything turns out to be a mistake.
When you play Microscope, every scene, period, or event, you mark whether it was dark or light. There was a lot of dark. I mean, the name of the thing is how the elves became cursed.
So the elves figured out a way to use the eye of Quizquion, which was supposed to be a magic limiter, which kept things under control, to instead punch holes into the primordial chaos and suck energy out of it to power even more powerful magic. So that was cool. The elves were like, whoa, man, awesome!
It really does seem like a hold my beer moment.
We can
And the
turn the
Vrock was
magic...
like, oh dear.
Yes, we can run this magic limiter in reverse.
I guess a tradition had formed from the early days where the elves would always have a rock advisor because they are the wise ones. But then eventually that kind of developed into like a
Court jester.
pale shadow of what it was. So they stopped paying attention to them, and eventually they just became the court jester. So the Brock is the court jester. He's basically just there to give advice so the king can ignore it.
Do whatever the opposite of the Brock suggestion is. It works out great. They also discovered this lotus-like plant. We later speculated that it may have been a plant that grew in the ponds that the elves originally came from. Now, it was addictive, but what were its other effects? I can't remember.
I don't know if it's ever specified. It was just everyone became addicted to it in the latter years of Elvenward's reign. The elves must, because Elvenward lived so long, either he was weirdly long-lived or the elves must have been naturally long-lived, but they were not immortal to begin with.
But then, sorry, what was his name? The doctor who invented the immortality potion?
Grinchel.
Grinchel, yes. The great elf Grinchel, whose name will live forever. He invented a immortality elixir. Using a combination of these lotus plants that everyone was addicted to, and the chaos energy that had been drawn out from the chaos blades.
As you do.
And it worked, but apparently somehow making it draws energy from the stars or something, and so some stars started going out.
No, it was after they'd made a few thousand immortals, it stopped working, and a single star disappeared from the sky. Remember, they were using the eye of Quizquion to do this.
Right, so they had a few thousand immortal elves.
Everyone took as like, oh, that breaks everything, but how many elves came over on the ships from the west? It couldn't have been more than a few thousand. But then they were desperate to get the immortality program going again, so they attacked the Vrock to get the statue, and they broke the statue into pieces, and they used pieces to encode their magic and grind, and it broke into these things that they called the bones of Quizquion, and you could grind them up to make immortality potion from that.
Because the eye got lost?
The eye stopped working. Oh. And the star,
No, the eye,
presumably
the eye didn't
Quizquion's
stop
star
working.
went out.
Yes, that makes sense.
So they broke up the statue into pieces, and they had this battle with the Vrock, and it actually isn't specified exactly what they did, but they did some ritual to win that. It was right when they broke the statue. They did some ritual, and they took away the humanity of the Vrock. They turned them into these
parodies of themselves.
Yeah, these barely, basically how the elves saw them, these horrible, barely human
Right.
kind of monstrosities.
Why did they do that?
To win the war.
To win the war so they could get the statue, so they could get immortality.
Oh, there was a war. Right. We caught up to the war.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Why did the Brock go to war again?
Because they didn't want the elves to have the statue. Because it's their statue.
Brock?
Brock! Brock! It's always been their statue.
And the elves were going.
So the elves started the war.
Yeah.
Okay.
With
Yeah.
their ticket.
The elves started the war.
They're like, we really got that super statue of yours. It's like the centerpiece of your civilization. We want to grind it up and stuff.
Right.
So can you give it
So
to
that
us?
we can
And then Brock,
attain immortality and continue our regime of being unwise and powerful. And ignoring your wise counsel.
and the Brock were like, that seems like a bad idea.
Yeah. And it
And the
culminated.
warder was like, let's hear them out.
And it culminated with a ritual that turned the Brock into the horrible parodies of humanity we now know.
Well, that was a big dick move.
Well, yeah, it was.
Well, they were fleeing. It was established they were fleeing a great disaster that they felt really guilty about, and they were cursed. So that's. And the elves who came over were like, we're never gonna turn. We're the good ones. We're not gonna do that kind of evil crap ever again. We feel really bad about our history.
Are we the baddies?
They were.
Yep, they're like, definitely were the baddies.
So what was the cataclysm?
It's still a little bit unclear.
It's not clear how the cities got ruined, except that they apparently did get ruined. Because the microscope fills things in as you go, right? There was Elvenward did kind of go crazy in his latter years and kept having visions of ships.
Was he immortal?
No.
No, he actually rejected the immortality thing because he was like, he was going crazy in his latter years, so who knows? But
He was all Denethor'd up.
Right.
he did build this fleet of ships to sail to the west, and in the end, the fleet of ships sailed to the west, but you could only. A requirement of passage is that you had to be immortal. So only the elves, the substantive elves that had become immortal, were allowed on the ships.
And that was which faction was that? The Bones of the Earth faction?
Well, it's a little unclear yet.
I mean, it was being broadly applied, but I assume the rich get it first or whatever, right?
So only the rich could get on the boats to the west. Why do they want to go west? Because of the ruined cities.
Everything's ruined.
And then they were like, they were feeling guilty about it.
Yeah.
So they were rich immortals that felt guilty about what they had just done, being immortal and turning the rock into poop.
The guilt might have happened while they were on the journey too, because they might just be rich immortals running away, and then like eventually they decided, okay, this is what we do is crap. We also have said that there's this idea that the elves keep fleeing to the west, so it's potentially this is like 5 cycles ago. They've like fled to the west 5 times since then, but
They're like, okay, for this time for real, we're not going to repeat our mistakes.
we're assuming they brought Brock with them as advisors because they felt guilty about wrecking the Brock, and that's where the Brock come from.
Or they were cabin boys.
Yeah.
And that's the history.
So far.
Yeah.
We're going to do another session, so we're probably going to flesh some of that out a bit more. And then, our party is going to travel to some point in that mess.
And fight everything.
This one's going to be a little bit different because we don't have to worry about keeping ourselves blind and deaf and all that. And in fact, I was thinking the other day, in a sense, it's actually going to be a lot safer than a lot of our trips in the past are, because everything goes through that filter of those few thousand elves that go on the ship. As long as nothing we do affects them, then it doesn't affect our personal
What
history.
you're going to do, you're going to accidentally kill
It depends on where you go.
one of the elves involved in the ritual that neuters the Brock. And then you'll have to neuter the Brock.
You'll have to pretend to be all the Brock.
Well, we already assumed that cricket was Elvenward.
I actually did sort of insert myself as the assassin that killed that star that was being
What might be good is if you can go back to when you're doing this ritual to effectively neuter the Brock. Maybe you can add in something as a failsafe to get rid of it later.
some sort of time delay. That's a possibility. That would be a nice thing to do.
You wouldn't know to do it, but that is interesting.
Yeah. Well, it depends. I mean, if we spend a lot of time back then, we might wind up discovering some things about all this. And what I was suggesting is that it's actually safer than most time periods in history, because if we go and mess around with something, as long as it's something that doesn't have any effect on those few thousand elves that make it across, the time tower can absorb it a lot easier. So rather than the butterfly, the butterfly is on our side. Actually, the butterfly tries to make things move back the way they were. So having this huge gulf of time gives the butterfly plenty of time to work on it. Yeah. Basically, I'm making excuses for doing whatever I want.
Yep.
I was telling them that they're just going to appear, and this like important-looking elf guy was just going to be right in front of them and be like, "What on earth?" and fall off the cliff.
Stupid important-looking elf guy.
Actually, it'd be really hard to impersonate people from this thing because you don't know anything
Yeah.
about it.
What we should do is we should get that guy that invented the time sigils, snatch him away from that dragon, and bring him back to have him impersonate him.
I think that would involve drawing some blocks.
He needs to pull his weight. We'll get Kalinar to do it. So yeah, basically it's just elves and Brock. There are some lizard men that were mentioned at one point, but they haven't really been fleshed out anymore.
The Brock and the Elves are the only main players, and that makes sense with Microscope because you don't have that much time to diverge into a bunch of things, and we're not trying to create a world full of playable races. It's just, it's mostly for fun because we're going to jump to some one moment of this, and it'll be kind of fun thinking of the references, but we can't possibly touch on it all.
Unless at that moment Panadar shatters and now we're stuck there.
I mean, that's the thing with Microscope. I think it works better as just for fun than for world building per se, but...
Yeah, this is a bit unusual as a world building thing because we already know how this world turns out. We're actually using it for its intended purpose. Whereas with regular world building, it's better to not know how it turns out. You just sort of come up to it.